Today's daf is daf nun tes. We are going to begin on Omer Aleph Omer Rabbi. Omer Rabbi says Rabbi Aglili, but Rabbi Shmuel Omer Dovracha, Rabbi Aglili and Rabbi Shmuel both said the same thing. They are of the same opinion that the appraisal for damage is based on the value of the produce remaining in the field once it's ripened. Rabbi Aglili al Damaran says that damage is paid for an animal eating unripe grain is assessed according to what remains of the grain. And Rabbi Shmuel, the time led at a brisa, made of sadeh, made of karmi shalim, the best of the field and the best of the vineyard he shall pay, which means made of sadeh shanizik, he has to pay according to the best quality field of the injured party. Made of karmi shanizik, and the best quality vineyard of the injured party. Did Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Kiva Eimer? It only comes to tell us to allow the injured party to collect compensation from the superior quality land of the one chayav to pay for the damage. And the compensation for damaging hektish is paid from idis. Don't say that the Rabbi Shmuel is in accordance with the opinion of Idi Ra'uben, here, it concerns a case where the animal, as he says, it concerns a case where the animal ate the produce of one garden bed from amongst several garden beds. And but we don't know whether the garden bed ate from the lean or the choice. The Amar, we see kum shalom shmena b'meit of dika hashto. So therefore, the pasuk says the owner of the animal. The pasuk says that the owner of the animal arise and pay the choice land equivalent to the best quality land that there is remaining. The Beis Din does not assume that the animal ate produce of lesser quality. The Achilam, we don't say this. My time, what's the reason? Because he accepts the principle of mitzvah mechaber el varaya. Again, my time, mitzvah mechaber el varaya el b'meit v'zelakame. Rather, Rabbi Shmuel interprets b'meit of sadeu, the best quality land before him. And what is it? Kiyaheich the salik, in which remain in the field and sprouted. And the compensation is based on the value of this. Omar Mar, Ulanda Brisa, Shimon ben Yehuda, Imam Shimon be Shimon, Medvar Amurim, Shachal Lulvik Fanim Yehuda. In what case does a statement that the Beis Din appraises the vineyard or a group of trees that were damaged said? Shachal Lulvik Fanim Yehuda, when the animal ate young branches or vines or shoots or fig trees. Hasmadar, it's mashma by a smadar. And the animal ate young branches or, in the case of the animal ate budding grapes, then during a kilo another English the butzer. We look at it as if there were grapes ready to be picked. He must say so, but look at the later clause. Their case teaches that the animal ate unripe figs or half-ripe figs, so the Beis Din used them as if they were grapes ready to be picked. Hasmadar, but in budding stage, Beis Din views how much the vineyard was worth before the animal ate them and how much it's worth now. Therefore, the two cases of the price appear to be contradictory. Rabbi says, bind them together and teach us when do we say this? That the Beis Din appraises how much the field was worth when the animal ate it from it. When the animal ate young branches or vines or shoots of fig trees. If it ate grapes in the budding stage, unripe figs or half grapes, the Beis Din views them and praises them as if they were grapes ready to be picked. It's the same thing. So why would the Mishnah state their opinions separately? The difference between them with regard to the weakening of the vine. A vine is weakened by the grapes growing in it, and they draw nutrients from the roots and branches. So now that the grapes have been eaten, the vine is no longer weakened. Therefore, according to one opinion, the Beis Din takes into consideration this reduction of the weakening of the vine, and that amount is deducted when calculating the damages. Whereas the other opinion, the Beis Din does not take into account. But the respective opinions are not defined. It's not clear which time it takes the weakening into account, which does not. Abaya says, Mesaimi u'Mesaimi. The respective opinions are clearly defined. It's possible to know which opinion. Mantana de Choyish Lekashkufna. Who's the Tana was concerned for the weakening of the bind? Rishon ben Yehuda, the Tanya of Rishon ben Yehuda, he says, with regards to the payment that a rapist pays his victim, was min psula, he does not pay compensation for the pain caused by the rape. If they should safely start the house by because she'll ultimately suffer the same pain during the first act of Bia with her husband when she marries. This payment of Bia willingly is not comparable to the pain of a woman who is by raped. Shemiyuda considers future pain when considering payment of damages, and similarly, he considers a reduced weakening of the vine. Rabbi Hanitanoi, and Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda, Hanitanoi Maini, as of the other Tanoim. What is the case about which they have a similar halacha? Tanya Rabbi Yesi Eimer Nechei Chaya. The halacha of one who injured a pregnant woman, thereby causing her to miscarry, which the Torah holds him chayav to pay her husband compensation. Rabbi Yesi says the Beis Din appraises the compensation for the miscarried offspring and deducts the amount they would have paid the midwives. Since she miscarried, the husband no longer has to pay a midwife, so they deduct that amount for the compensation. But Azi says the court must value of the extra sustenance the husband would have been required to provide for the pregnant wife. So the one who says the Beis Din appraises the compensation for the miscarried offspring less than the amount they would have to be paid for a midwife. So all the more so does he agree that the appraisal is less than the value of the extra sustenance. However, but the one who says that the appraisal is less than the value of the extra sustenance, not necessarily does he hold by the midwife, like the As he says, since the husband would say, my wife is capable, the Bava Kamah does not need to have a midwife. They act in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Nachman. Praised a damaged date relative to the sixth. Rabbi Nachman. Some say the version went that they appraised the damage caused to a date palm relative to the assessment of a patch of land where the tree stood. In other words, how much is worth with the tree and how much is worth with that. The law is with the opinion of the Papa and Ravuna with regard to our Armenian date, one of lesser quality, and is assessed relative to the land. In regards to our Persian dates, they're higher quality, each one is valuable, and it's not assessed relative to the land. Eliezer's Ada. The word says Eliezer's Ada have a Soyim Mishane Ukma, was wearing black shoes, unlike the Yiddish custom at that time. Standing in the market of Nardai. Officials of the Ishlusa found and said, what is different about you that causes you to wear the shoes? He said, I'm wearing them because I'm mourning over the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. So wear black shoes as the custom of mourners. So they said, are you a man of such importance to publicly mourn over Yerushalayim? They thought that it was like a presumption on his parts. So since he was acting against the minhag, they brought him to prison and incarcerated him. So Eliezer said to them, Gabar Rabba, no, I'm a great man, a scholar, and it's fitting for me to mourn publicly over Yerushalayim. How do we know this? Either you ask me a matter of halacha and I'll answer you, or I will ask you a matter of halacha. So be after you ask. So he said to them, with regard to one who cuts a cluster of flowers on the stem of a date palm belonging to another, what is he required to pay? He pays the value of the date stem. He said to them, but ultimately they will become ripe dates which are worth more. So they said to him, if so, he pays the value of the future dates. He says, but he did not take ripe dates from the other person, so how could they basically obligate him to pay the damage that he did not cause? So they said, you shall tell us the correct appraisal for the dates then. So they said Beshishin, the Beis Din appraises the damage relative to similar piece of land 60 times the size. Who says your opinion is correct? Shmuel is alive and his Beis Din exists. You can ask him. He sent the question before Shmuel together with the halacha psak of Eliezer Zira. So they said to them, Shmuel said to them, he's saying well to you because the halacha is, as he says, the appraisal is relative to you 60 times. So upon hearing this, they released him. Rav Shimon says, if an animal ate ripe produce, the owner pays the value of the ripe produce eaten. My time, what's the reason for this? This that the Torah says in a feed in another field, which teaches that the Beis Din appraises the damage relative to another field. His statement applies specifically with regards to produce that requires a field to grow. But an animal eating this produce, since we do not require the field in order to ripen further, the animal's owner must pay their value as they are. Rav judged the practical halacha on certain issues according to the opinion of Meir, despite the fact that in general halacha is not like him. And furthermore, he ruled that the halacha is according to the opinion of Shimon, even though in that case he has a minority opinion. Don Rav Meir, Rav Huna Bar, he explains. Rav judged the practical case in the according to the Meir, the Tanya Kosel Rishon Lechas Malay, a case of a field designated by its owner as a lien for his wife's ksuba. And then he sold it. So if he wrote a document of sale to a first buyer, but his wife did not sign it for him, endorse the sale, and then the husband wrote this document, the second buyer, the wife signed for him, so then Ibdak Subasa, she thereby loses the lien of the marriage contract, says the sale is effective if she can no longer collect from this field. She could say, I did it only to please my husband, but I did not mean to ever forgo my rights. What claim do your purchase have against me? Therefore, the lien is still in effect. I've judged the case in accordance to the opinion of Meir. And I've ruled Allah like Rav Shimon, because the Tanah of Shimon appears Gemurin. If one animal ate ripe produce, Shalom is pairs Gemurin, the owner pays the value of the ripe produce eaten. If it's a sa, although Rav Shimon's opinion is the minority, Rav ruled according to him. Next Mishnah. In a case of one who stacks his produce in another field without permission from the owner of the field, and an animal belonging to the owner of the field eats the produce, potter, the owner is potter. And if the animal injured the produce, the owner of the stack is chayav. If the animal is injured by the produce, the stack of the owner of the Godish is chayav. But if he stacked them in the field with permission, also the owner of the field is chayav. The damage caused for the produce. Tanan the lake Rabbi, shall we see that our mission is not according to the Rabbi Hudanasi, that Rabbi, if it's according to the opinion of Rabbi Hudanasi, doesn't he say Achikawa Balabais Dishmer, that the Balabais who gives another permission is not chayav unless the Balabais accepts himself to safeguard them? And the mission doesn't mention any acceptance of responsibility. And here we're dealing with a supervisor of a threshing floors. When people entrust their produce, since the supervisor says to the owner of the produce, bring in and stack it, it's as though he said to him, I will enter loch, bring it and I will supervise it for you. All right, tomorrow we'll start the next Mishnah.